This video is predicting that the biggest stock market crash in all of history began with the all-time peak made on October 10th, 2025. The date that this video was posted proves that this prediction is being made ahead of time, as does this timestamped email and also Forensic Notes PDF document. If you are skeptical for some reason, please email me and I will forward these to you. Welcome. This video is predicting that the biggest stock market crash in all of history began on October 10th, 2025, when the stock market made its all-time peak. This is the all-time peak, and it is predicted that from this peak, the biggest stock market crash in all of history has commenced. The date that this video, or rather this email that's documenting this prediction was composed was October 10th. In other words, it was recognized immediately that this was the peak in the stock market. In other words, this isn't a month later. If you watch this video a month later from October 10th, it could very well be that the market has crashed. I don't expect the market to make its biggest crash in history within a period of 1 month. But it would probably be obvious that the peak was in a month from now. And so what I am saying is that this prediction isn't being made a month after the peak. It isn't being made after, a day after the peak or a week after the peak. Because even a week from now, from October 10th, it could become very obvious to people that the crash is on. But this prediction is being made at the very time of the peak. And what does a peak represent? It represents optimistic sentiment. In other words, at a peak, the extreme minority is predicting anything other than optimism and further stock market gains. That's the nature of a peak. When everyone is on board, which then leaves out any further people to get on board to drive the prices up any further. In other words, a peak. In other words, the stock market is actually a barometer, a thermometer, a metric for measuring, if you will, the mass social psychology of the society. And so what it indicates is the vast majority of people being optimistic. Now, sure, there are a very small minority of people out there predicting that there will be, at some point, a stock market crash. Of these people, there's even a much smaller segment, an extreme small segment of this small segment, that are predicting the biggest stock market crash in history. But those people do exist. But what doesn't exist is calling the exact date of the stock market peak on its date. That makes this a prediction from God. And the reasons for knowing this, that'll be explained in this brief video, in these paragraphs here, also confirm this. As you will see, the reasons for knowing this could not have been concocted in the imagination of a human being. And that makes this more proof than this just being luck and coincidentally, by pure chance, calling the exact date of the peak of the stock market. All right, hopefully I've made it clear. Hopefully the extreme skeptic will reconsider their extreme skepticism after what I have just explained. It isn't rational for this prediction to be any other thing than from God. To explain this away in some way, oh, well, you just got lucky or something, no, that's completely irrational. Furthermore, I don't make videos about this subject. It's only this video. The last time I made a stock market video was a long time ago. I don't make videos like this on a daily basis, trying in the hopes of one day getting the precise date of the peak. Let alone, even calling for the peak in itself, like I just explained, is not common, let alone the biggest crash in history. But what is not common and unheard of is calling the exact date of the peak. And no, I do not make videos every other day doing this sort of thing. But as I just said, I'll say it again, the reasons for knowing this ahead of time are profound and clearly prophetic, and clearly prove the God of Israel, the God of the Bible. And that's the purpose of the prediction. So let's get into what I wrote. First of all, as you can see, the timestamp on this email is October 10th. Okay? If you're skeptical for some reason, please email me and I'll forward this to you. In God's signs, China is symbolic of the red dragon in Revelation chapter 12. After war breaks out in heaven in Revelation chapter 12, the red dragon is thrown down from heaven to earth. This is symbolic of the trade war with China over its rare earth minerals. After the red dragon, and so that's what happened on this day. The reason why the stock market declined a lot on this day, although by no means indicated that the biggest crash in history is on, and no one believes that, except for me and maybe a couple other people out there. But the reason why this stock market event happened on this day, a big decline from the all-time peak, which is why I know it's the peak, is because it hints at Revelation chapter 12 and the fall of the red dragon. Because China is the red dragon, and in God's signs is symbolic of the red dragon in Revelation chapter 12. And war broke out in Revelation chapter 12, and right after that, the red dragon was thrown down from heaven to earth. Well, this is a trade war that broke out on this day with the red dragon over rare earth minerals. This is clearly a Revelation chapter 12 sign. After the red dragon is thrown down to earth, the dragon pursues the woman in this chapter, in this prophecy, for 1,260 days, which is the equivalent of 42 months of 30 days each, which is a biblical prophetic month. These two numbers of months and days are repeated in Bible prophecy as being symbolism for the period of the Antichrist and the end times. October 10th, 2025, the day of this red dragon Revelation chapter 12 sign. And Revelation chapter 12 talks about 1,260 days regarding the red dragon pursuing the woman. So on this October 10th date, God's trumpet that he uses to trumpet and highlight his prophetic signs, trumpeted war with China over its rare earth minerals. 1,260 days after Trump's trade war over the red dragon's rare earth minerals will be March 23rd, 2029, which will be exactly 4,200 days after the Revelation 12 sign that was fulfilled in the night sky on September 23rd, 2017. This 4,200 days is symbolic of the 42 months that's described in Revelation chapter 12 regarding the red dragon. And so again, this date is connected in two ways to a period of time described in Revelation chapter 12, which confirms everything. As the Bible says, 2 witnesses are required to confirm a matter. And so again, from Trump's trade war with the red dragon over rare earth minerals, making this a Revelation chapter 12 sign, we have 1,260 days, which is mentioned in Revelation chapter 12 regarding the red dragon's period of time, to March 23rd, 2029. And this date is also exactly 4,200 days, which ends at 42 months, the period of time for the red dragon in Revelation chapter 12. After the Revelation chapter 12 sign, which involves a dragon on September 23rd, 2017. Now, this period is also 138 months. And the name Donald Trump is equal to 138 in simple English gematria. And so this also confirms the matter, because it's Trumpet that trumpeted the war with the red dragon, China, over its rare earth minerals, as in the dragon being thrown down from heaven to earth after war broke out. So this 138 months it's amazing, because this 4,200 days is also 138 months exactly. That's a coincidence too, because it's exactly 4,200 days and it's exactly 138 months. That's a coincidence in itself, to get an exact period of months and days to the 100th, to 100 days, 1 in 100 times. The odds are 1 in 100. The odds of getting a number with 2 zeros in it at the end is 1 in 100. And it's also exactly 138 months, but that's also relevant because it's Trump we are talking about, and the name Donald Trump is equal to 138 in simple English gematria. A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3. The Lord is pointing to March 22nd, 2029. This has been known for a long time as the day on which there will be a massive demonic apparition pretending to be the Virgin Mary in the night sky over the beach in Rio de Janeiro. Okay, this March 22nd date is one day before March 23rd, this date that God's pointing to here. Perhaps this event on the night of March 22nd, 2029 will carry over into the date in the early morning on March 23rd. Okay, but alternatively, this 1,260 days and 42 months, 4,200 days could also be pointing to March 22nd, because you would include the first day and then you would get this date, March 22nd. But either way, it doesn't really matter. It's pointing to the same event, which is this demon that will pretend to be Mary in Rio, and this will be because all apparitions of Mary in all of history have been demons pretending to be Mary, and that's the truth. When Catholics worship Mary, they are worshiping demons. But this particular demon pretending to be Mary will be a massive event because it won't be in secret. It won't be the demon appearing to a few children in Fatima or whatever. It'll be the demon appearing for the entire world to see on mainstream news. In other words, the world is going to become supernatural after this event. Because that's what the book of Revelation really is, a collision between the demonic realm and the supernatural realm and the earthly realm. And this is like the kickoff event, if you will. This demon pretending to be Mary, which will fool the vast majority of people on earth, including Muslims, because they also venerate, or I shouldn't use that word, that's Catholic propaganda. They also esteem Mary, okay? They don't worship Mary like Catholics do. And Catholics literally worship Mary. That's nonsense that they don't worship Mary. Of course they worship Mary. It's a carryover from the worship of the fertility goddess in ancient pagan religions, like Ishtar, Aphrodite, Isis, Venus. It's the same thing. In fact, in all of the ancient artwork, it's the same artwork as in medieval Catholic times of the Virgin Mary holding a baby in her arms. Strategically, this is from Satan to distract from Jesus and put the attention on Mary. And when Rome converted into Christianity, so-called, it didn't do away with its pagan religion. It just repackaged it and made it look like Christianity, which is why Catholicism is the wolf in sheep's clothing. If you think about it, this would be one of the deceiver's deceptions, the master of lies, the liar of lies. He would, among other things, design a religion that looked like Christianity, but was in fact satanic pagan religion just wrapped in a wrapper to make it look like Christianity. And yes, I'm not saying there'll be no Catholics that will be saved. But if they will be, it'll be in spite of their Catholicism, not because of it. The thing that God hates the most in the Bible is false religious worship, which is why the Jews were constantly being chastised for mixing their true religion with the pagan religion of their neighbors. And then they were ultimately exiled for this paganism to Babylon, the home of pagan religion, which is why, by the way, Peter called Rome Babylon in the Bible. He's referring to Rome. It's very clear. But it's code. He's speaking in code. He's speaking cryptically to not offend the Roman authorities. But he called Rome Babylon because that's what it is. It's pagan religion, Roman Catholicism, made to look like Christianity for the fools that don't know anything about the Bible. And that's basically the majority of Catholics. It's a superstition for them. It's not really for most of them. It's an insurance policy in case they die. They don't really believe. They don't read the Bible. I've asked many Catholics, for example, when I was in Poland for years. And after they would tell me, they believe they're Christian, they believe that Jesus is God. And I say, well, so it's interesting, that you believe that Jesus is God, but yet you're not interested in learning what he had to say. How can anyone claim to believe that Jesus is God and have little or no interest at all? Because God came to earth and spoke as a man, and you believe that, but you're not interested in learning what he had to say and studying it? It makes no sense. Well, that's because they're not really Christian. It's a superstition for them. It's tradition. And that's why that's what attracts Catholics to Catholicism, incidentally. It's tribalism, being affiliated with the Catholic tribe, your traditions, your family, your heritage, etc., and which is pride, the root of sin. It's a form of pride, the root of sin in the Bible. Satan fell due to his pride. And so when a Catholic or any other person of any other religion remains with the religion they were born into, for the sake of their family and traditions, it's a form of pride. They are falling for the deception from Satan. Let's move on. But make no mistake, the reason for this prediction that is from God in this video is to prove the controversial things that I am saying. And I know far better than anyone the reason and purpose for this prediction. And I'll just repeat it. Make no mistake. The reason for this prediction is from God is to prove everything that I have just said. And I haven't said much. I've said basic things that every Protestant should know and understand. These are really basic things, right? But it's astounding how many people in the world do not know these things. And why is that? Because they don't really care. And that's the whole point of this life. It's a test to see who really cares about the truth. And Catholics don't really care about the truth. When you remain with the religion you were born into, you are not interested in the truth. I mean, unless you won the jackpot, you believe that your religion is true because you were born into it? Well, congratulations. You won the jackpot. You were fortuitous enough to have been born into the correct religion. Wow. How lucky are you? It's absurd. I have nothing in common with people that are a part of a religion they were born into. I was born into secular atheism. The typical Westerner today. I'm still the only Christian in my immediate family. Okay? Anyway, so I can't relate to that nonsense of being in a religion that you were born into. That's just not anyway an intellectually honest pursuit of the truth. Okay, so anyway, as a result of Trumpet's war with the Red Dragon on rare earth minerals, the stock market fell hard from its all-time peak high, which was symbolic of the red dragon falling from heaven to earth. This fall in the stock market from its all-time peak high is predicted to be the initial drop in the biggest stock market crash in all of history. The number 19 is the 4 plus 4th prime number. Trump's trade war on October 10th, 2025 spooked the market and the Dow lost 1.9%. On this same day, 19 people died in an explosive factory explosion in the 4 times 4th state. The 44th president will be the dragon's Antichrist representative. Along with Pope Francis, the first of the 2 antichrists that are described in Bible prophecy. The second one, Barack Obama, gets his power from the first one. The first one, Pope Francis, will get his power from his resurrection, from demons pretending to be aliens, claiming that he, Pope Francis, has been made the ambassador of the world. On the day of Trump's war with the Red Dragon over rare earth minerals that resulted in a massive fall in the stock market from its all-time peak high, it was announced that Trump would not receive the Nobel Peace Prize in Oslo. The day before, Trump had criticized the 44th president for not deserving the Nobel Peace Prize. He was awarded exactly 4 times 4 years earlier. That's astounding. Trumpet, God's trumpet, criticized Obama, the 44th president, for having not deserved the Nobel Peace Prize, which was awarded to him exactly 4 times 4 years before Trump criticized the 44th president over the Nobel Peace Prize. Incidentally, Obama even recognized and said so at the time that he didn't really deserve the prize. It was a joke, and it was embarrassing for him that he received that prize just after he was elected, after having not done anything. And even the Nobel Peace Prize committee regretted giving him the prize because he continued, in their mind, the unrighteous war in the Middle East, etc. So, on the night that Obama arrived in Oslo, and so in other words, Trump spoke the truth. On the night that Obama arrived in Oslo for the award, back in 2009, there was a massive, mysterious vortex in the night sky over Norway. It was quite the scene, and it was mainstream, secular, mainstream media news. Like literally mainstream, big time, CBS, ABC. It was the big news. It was a big news story. Okay? And to make those news broadcasts, only a handful of stories make that short broadcast on those mainstream networks every night, but this was one of them. Okay, and it was right on the night that Obama arrived. And recall that the Revelation 12 sign with the red dragon is in the night sky. Literally. In the passage it says that the sign is in the night sky. It's in the heavens, as it says. Well, it was also fulfilled in September of 2017 in the night sky. Well, anyway, we have this Antichrist sign here because and by the way, I should have mentioned here, this identifies the Antichrist because of the passage written by Paul. When people say peace and safety, know that it's the birth pains of the Antichrist, essentially. I'll just read it in a second, okay? So, but here, that's why it's a big, important sign that the Antichrist received the Nobel Peace Prize. Because the Antichrist will come claiming peace and security, specifically over Israel, which is why we have all of this connecting to Trump and the timing with his Gaza peace plan, for which he should have won the Nobel Peace Prize, coincidentally, and it's not coincidence, it's designed by God. The Gaza peace plan was accepted and made the big news the day before the Nobel Peace Prize was awarded, like 2 days before. The timing is not anything other than designed by God to make it in the news, in order to accomplish what this video is accomplishing and what no one else is saying. God timed the Gaza peace plan and the acceptance of it and the big victory for peace, etc., to coincide exactly with the awarding of the Nobel Peace Prize controversially not to Trump in order to identify the left as Antichrist and their leader, the 44th president, who was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize exactly 4 times 4 years earlier after he became the 44th president, in order to identify him as the Antichrist. And the spirit of the secular mainstream left as being with Satan. That's the whole point here. And again, I know far better than you the reason and purpose for this prediction that is from God. When the stock market crashes in the biggest crash of all of history, it will prove and from the peak on October 10th, it will prove exactly what I am saying here, which is that the left is evil. And the Nobel Peace Prize Committee, people on that committee, are going to hell. They are on their way to hell, as well as all of the anti-Trump derangement syndrome people. It is a symptom of them being spiritually with Satan. It is time for them to repent immediately. Immediately, and that's the reason why I am making this video. It's to help them. So, pass this video on to everyone you know and post the link to this video everywhere in social media, and don't ever stop sharing the link. And also go to places you don't go. Don't only preach to the choir. Put the link in the description boxes, etc., into the description boxes of the enemies' channels that they watch. Now, it turned out that the mysterious lights were from an errant Russian rocket, but that doesn't change the fact that it was a prophetic sign. It was quite the spectacle, by the way. You should watch a video of it on YouTube. You can easily find it. It is quite the spectacle. It's no wonder it went viral and was mainstream news. But anyway, the day that Obama was awarded, but it's symbolic of the demonic realm colliding with the earthly realm. That's what it really was communicating. Again, Pope Francis will be made the Antichrist through demons pretending to be aliens, right? Now, the day that Obama was awarded the Peace Prize, on the same day that Obama was awarded the Peace Prize, back on October 9th, 2009, NASA conducted an experiment in which it quote unquote, double bombed the moon, which incidentally is the reason for the explosion sign in the 4 times 4th state. Exactly 4 times 4 years later. Okay, it was an explosive factory, a factory that makes explosives, and it exploded. And it was 19 deaths, and the date of the double bombing of the moon was 10/9, which hints at 19. NASA symbolizes America, as does the Antichrist, the American president at that time. The moon symbolizes Christ. It is a giant rock, and in the Bible, rock is symbolism for Jesus. The sun symbolizes God the Father, and the sun's light is too bright for us to gaze at, but we can gaze at the sun's light reflected off of the moon. The signs in the heavens are, these signs in the heavens are further confirmation that on March 22nd, 2029, there will be a demonic display in the night sky. Okay, so this was a sign in the night sky when NASA double bombed the moon. It was on the same day as the Peace Award, but then Obama arrived in Norway on the same day as the sign in the night sky of the vortex, which spooked people until it was learned it was a Russian rocket because of the spectacular display, which just made it symbolism of the demonic realm colliding with the earthly realm. Okay? And again, it connects with 4 times 4 years to the explosion in the 4 times 4th state and Trump criticizing the 44th president for his Nobel Peace Prize 4 times 4 years earlier. Okay? And again, this is the day of a drop in the stock market because of Trump's trade war with the red dragon over rare earth minerals, which hints at Revelation chapter 12 and the war in heaven and the red dragon being thrown down from heaven to earth at the beginning of 1,260 days. And 1,260 days after this is the day it is predicted there will be a demonic display in the night sky of a demon pretending to be Mary. Now, why don't, before we end here, I read the passage that is the center of this whole prophecy that I'm explaining in this video. First Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3, while people are saying there is peace and safety, peace and security, then sudden destruction will come upon them as labor pains come upon a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. This coming of the Antichrist, it is a trap that is coming. The Antichrist will come in the name of peace and security. But who is it a trap for? Well, not the people that love this guy. It's the trap for true conservatives and true Christians. It's a trap for the world, but they will not escape this persecution that's coming from the Antichrist. I assume this will be after the rapture, which is predicted to be on Pentecost in May 27th, 2029. Barack Obama is predicted to become the president again, or rather return to the White House as the vice president, with Michelle Obama as the president, on January 20th, 2029. This will be after it's predicted that the Democrat Party candidate for president, Gavin Newsom, will die in a plane crash. And in August 2028. And in an emergency, they will nominate Michelle Obama, along with Barack Obama as her vice president on the ticket. Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived. And more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon. Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or two that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. Aliens and UFOs are demons masquerading as aliens and UFOs. Most people's spiritual experiences are demonic deception, especially if they are not a true follower of Christ. In the last days, many people who claim to be a follower of Christ will have spiritual experiences that are in reality demonic. God became a man and died a horrible death at the hand of the ruler of this world, Satan, and then defeated death for you, so that you too can overcome death, which is the price that must be paid for sin. It is time to repent, which means to change one's ways and turn to God and become a disciple of Jesus. Do not listen to or follow the example of most quote-unquote Christians. Instead, follow the teachings of Jesus, which most quote-unquote Christians ignore. Like Jesus, you must surrender your life. Put nothing ahead of Jesus, your Lord. Like Jesus, you must lay down your life so that you may live. As Jesus said, one must die first, like a kernel of wheat going into the ground, in order to then grow and produce fruit. And like Jesus said, one must produce fruit, or else like a branch or a tree not producing fruit, they will be thrown into the fire. Jesus was speaking to quote-unquote Christians when he said this. One must die the self in order to be born again. And like Jesus said, one must be born again to enter the kingdom. Like Jesus, you must sacrifice your life for the sake of the coming kingdom. It means to do work that involves some form of sacrifice and risk. To have faith does not mean to intellectually agree. You need to demonstrate your faith through taking action. To have faith means to trust in God's promises. Taking action demonstrates trust and fear of the Lord. The primary reason that the wrath of God is coming upon America is quote-unquote Christians that do not get what I have just explained. The only reason a Christian is alive is in order to help other people become Christians and make it to the kingdom. Do not be deceived by those on the political left claiming to be quote-unquote Christians. There is no such thing as a Christian on today's political progressive left. Jesus said, "Do not think I have come to abolish or change any bit of the law or the prophets of the Old Testament Bible." In other words, the God of the Old Testament Bible is the exact same God of the New Testament Bible. It is essential that you learn about the God of the Bible and his ways. The God of the Old Testament Bible is looking to see who will fear him, and to fear God is not the same thing as quote-unquote revering or honoring God. Through Christ's ransom payment, a Christian is someone who has been redeemed and freed from slavery to sin and Satan. In response, a true Christian recognizes that their life in this world does not belong to them, and they become a willing slave to Jesus for the sake of the kingdom. Please leave a like and upvote the video, and once this prediction has come to pass, share this video with everyone you know, and more, don't stop sharing it everywhere in social media. And don't only put the link to this video or another video on this channel in comments sections of places you typically visit, but importantly, put the link to the video in places you never visit, where people who don't think like you visit. If you are a quote-unquote Christian, nothing in terms of an evangelism tool compares to this video with its prediction. It is a massive bag of gold. Beware of Jesus' warning through the quote-unquote Christian that did nothing with his bag of gold and was banished to hell. Also, read Ezekiel chapter 3 and 33 for this same warning. If you think you might be spending too much time watching videos instead of working and sacrificing for the kingdom through handing out flyers and potentially helping hundreds of people in the same length of time as a video, my flyer is filled with amazing information that people need to know right now, and it points people to the video channel. Now is not the time to be handing out typical evangelical tracts that are largely based in error anyway, such as, quote, Jesus loves you, unquote, for example. You can hand out the flyer on busy street corners, put them on car windshields in busy parking lots, and put them in mailboxes. Just send the file to your local print shop. You can download the file from the website. Please leave a like and upvote the video, and once this prediction has come to pass, share this video with everyone you know, and more, don't stop sharing it everywhere in social media. It is essential that everyone immediately read the homepage of my website, asteroidprediction.com. If you are watching this on the YouTube platform, please note that not all of the videos are on YouTube. You need to switch to the Odyssey.com or Rumble.com channel, and do it now in case you aren't able to later.